Hi guys, and welcome to AirAbility, your regular dose of lead therapy. And I'm in the shed on a cold November morning, but I'm still living the airgun dream. Now, this is part 3 of my pellet testing series, and this came about because of people who watch this channel requested that I did a part 3, even though I didn't originally intend to do so, and in the part 3 cover how I prepared the pellets I used in parts 1 and 2. So hopefully I'm going to go through the equipment I used, what type of pellets I used, and how I went about preparing my pellets for competition and testing. Also, I just want to say that this may not necessarily be how other shooters do it, but I will give an insight into how other shooters do it as I go along. So hopefully you can have a mix and match approach of what I do and other shooters, and then you can come up with a regime of pellet testing that is good for you. We need to remember, when we're preparing pellets, it isn't because the pellets are bad or because they're broken. We've already selected the best pellet that shoots the best out of the tin. What we're doing here is like when somebody takes a car to a track day, they tune it and they add, extras and enhancements that make the car perform outside of what it was originally intended to do. And that's what we are doing here with pellet preparation. We are adding a final polish to those pellets that allows them to perform better than even the manufacturer intended. The pellet I'll be using today is the H&N Barracuda FT. This is my favourite pellet for lots of reasons. And first of all, I want to say a big thank you to H&N. H&N are going to support me in the 2023 season, and they are supplying me with the pellets I'll be using in competition and practice next year. Big thank you, H&N. Now, why do I use the Barracuda FT? Well, it is the most consistent pellet out of the tin. It also takes the least preparation to make it Benchrest accurate. And thirdly, it's widely available, it's easy to get hold of, and for me, I don't find them batch specific. I find that every batch I've ever had performs the same as other batches in my experience. I absolutely love them, and I've got gold medals to prove that they work. Now, the other equipment I'm going to show in this video whilst I'm going about my pellet preparation, I will put links in the description to try and show you where they are and how to buy them. What I will say is I'm not affiliated to any of these other companies. This is equipment I picked up over the years through trial and error of perfecting my pellet preparation regime. So, let's set the camera up on the bench and let's see how I go about pellet preparation. And as ever, hopefully, it'll be of use to you. Here we are on the bench with the equipment I use and what other people use to prepare their pellets for Benchrest shooting. Now, this is my first attempt at some close-up work, some, Paul Daniels stuff. Hopefully I'll get a job on QVC or another shopping channel after this, but I doubt it. So, what are we here to do? Well, we're here to prepare pellets that come straight from the tin and store them in a way, after we've prepared them and made them the best that they can be, stored them in a way that will protect them well and keep them ready for when we go to a competition or practice. Now, how do I start? Well, first of all, this may not necessarily be the way that other people do it, but this is the way I do it. Now, I start with a pellet sizer. Now, first of all, people are going to ask me, what am I using, where am I getting it from, and things like that. This is all equipment I picked up over a number of years. And other than the pellets, I'm not affiliated to any of the equipment that's shown here. The equipment that I remember where I got it from, I will post the links in the description to this video. Now, first of all, I have a pellet sizer. It's pretty much one of these standard pellet sizes. I buy a range of pellet sizes from for 177 pellets from 4.50 millimeter all the way up to 4.53 millimeter, and then I you know, through the pellet testing that I showed you earlier, choose the correct size for the pellet if it even needs it. Now, first of all, what I've, you know, with this particular pellet, what I've actually found is that it benefits from a little sizing. Now I use that pellet sizer there. You can buy this like kind of ink pot that you can put the pellet sizer in, and it makes it really easy because it fits in the lid of a tin of pellets, and you just pop your plunger out, drop your pellet in, and that's a pellet size. There we go. We'll do it once more just to show you. It's that easy. And when you get the speed up, and you've done it hundreds of times, you know, you can just crack on there like that. Now, as you can see, the good thing about the ink pot is I dropped the pellet there. It didn't get mixed up with the ones I prepared, and it got caught in the lip here, which is a fantastic feature. The last thing you want is a pellet that you haven't prepared that's dropped into the pellets that you have prepared. Now, once you've got your pellet sized, you then need to think about the next stage. Now, when I'm using Barracuda FT, I do not utilize this stage, but a lot of people do, to take out further inconsistencies in the pellet. A lot of Benchrest shooters weigh each pellet before they store them. I've found that my pellets come within an acceptable weight range that doesn't affect the accuracy, so I actually don't do this. But a few things to remember: buy the best scales you can, either a kind of like a specific pellet testing scale or a good jewellery scale, you know, that jewellers would use. Also, get yourself a scale that actually has a calibration weight with it. Now, this allows the scale to be calibrated every time you use it, which makes sure that you're weighing the pellets accurately. Also, when you're using a pellet testing scale, pellet weighing scales, there's usually a dot or a target on the weighing pad. Make sure that you put the pellets, you know, exactly in the same spot every time to make sure that you get consistent results. Because if you put the pellets in different places, you're going to get different results. So there's the pellet tester. So most people would size them and then weigh them. I don't do that. So what I do is I go straight to the storage tin, and these storage tins are readily available on the internet. I'll put the link in the description, and I just store them for later. You know, it's really hard to fit them in it. Hey dear me. Anyway, it's a lot easier when you're not on camera. So you just put your pellets in the little foam holders for later. Now, I hear people cry, why hasn't he lubricated the pellet? Yes, I do lubricate my pellets before I shoot, but I don't lubricate them at this stage. Most people would lubricate them at this point by putting a few drops of pellet lubricant into a small Ziploc bag and, you know, swill it around inside until it's touching all the surfaces of the inside of the bag. Add a few pellets at a time, roll them round, and then put them in the foam. I don't do that. Why don't I do that? One, it's messy. Two, you know, the lubricant is going to age onto the pellets. Three, I think you use way more lubricant than you need. And four, I don't want it soaking into the foam on my pellet tins and making a gooey mess over time. I know I'm a bit particular, but that's how I do it. So what I do is I get to a competition and I open my tin of prepared pellets, right? And I have the lid off a tin of pellets, and I keep all these foams, right? And this is invaluable. What I do is I put a couple of squirts of my chosen pellet lubricant into the tray, the lid, sorry, of the pellet tin. I put my foam in, give it a mix round, and that gives me a tiny little bit of pellet lubricant on the foam. You've got to remember that you only want to lubricate the extreme edges of the pellet that are actually going to be touching the barrel. You don't need, you know, and you need to be consistent on how you do it, because there's no point in preparing your pellets to perfection and then giving them different levels of lubricant as you put them in the barrel, which will prove to be inconsistent when you're shooting. So what I do is, imagine I'm at the table, you know, I've got my hand, I've cocked the rifle, I take my pellet out of the tin, I roll it down the foam here, and I put it into the rifle. And I do that every time I shoot, which gives me a consistent lubrication of the pellet, and it works for me. What I will say is I think 99% of shooters probably think I'm mad. I'm the only person that I've ever seen that lubricates them at the point they go into the barrel. Most people do the pre-lubrication before they store the pellet methods. Now this video isn't about following me exactly, it's about finding ways that work for you, and clearly the other way works as well for some people. Now finally, you know what I mean, what I also do is, just to make sure, the night before we shoot, I get the tin of pellets that I'm actually going to use, and I hover over them with a magnifying glass just to make sure I haven't missed any damaged ones whilst I've been sizing them. And hopefully that gives me a consistent pellet that I use in competition. So, you know, let's just go quickly through what I do. I get my pellets, my chosen pellet that I've pre-tested, and I know which pellet sizer works the best for it. I use the pellet sizer. I then put them straight into the box because I know these pellets come within an acceptable weight range directly out the tin, and then I lubricate directly before I put them in the rifle, and that works for me, and that's how I go about it. Thanks for listening. It's competition time. It's your chance to win a H&N pellet tin protector and an AirAbility domed sticker. Pop over to the AirAbility Facebook group, find the competition thread, and feel free to enter. Well guys, I hope you found that interesting. It really shows how much of a geek I am and how much of a geek other Benchrest shooters are. And people who don't Benchrest may not understand why we go to these depths to make sure that the pellets are perfect before we shoot them. But if you ever become a Benchrest shooter, you'll understand that it's as much about your preparation and understanding of your equipment as it is about your marksmanship when you're a Benchrest shooter. And I think that's a fantastic mix, and it always makes it exciting, and there's always something new for me to learn in the world of Benchrest. You know, I really did sink to the depths of geekdom when I brought out the magnifying glass. I understand that. But, you know, that 1x could cost you a competition. So, you know what I mean? The devil's in the detail. Until next time, guys, remember, keep living the airgun dream and take care. Bye-bye.